Hey y'all, welcome back to Spirit of the Outdoors. Today I'm going to talk to you about black cherry, which is a wild cherry here. This plant, I was doing some research in my medicinal plant book. This is one of my favorite books from my area, Southern Medicinal Plants. I usually link it in all of these videos, especially if I'm using this book. Now there's several other plants that I'm going to try to go over here in the near future that have not been done. If you're interested in a lot of my medicinal stuff, look in the medicinal plant playlist, because I'm probably not going to go back over plants that I have done to death. I have been over goldenrod numerous times. I've been over cardinal flower. There's a lot of these plants that I have well done videos on that I'm probably not going. If you're new to the channel, you want to look back. If you're into the medicinal plants, I have went over a lot of plants in the last 3-4 years. But this one I have never done. And I have it growing right here in my yard. I've got, actually, I'll pan around a little bit. There's like one right beside that shed over there, my wife's pottery shed. And as you turn, there's one right here behind me. There's one between these. And then there's one more right here. And these just come up wild on the edges of woodlands mainly. And they grow to be bigger trees, but this one does not have fruit on it this year. Last year, one of these had fruit, but due to the late colds we've had, these have not produced. Well, that was year before last when they had fruit. Very tart, not really that great. I'm sure it has some uses. But I want to read to you the medicinal uses of this plant. It says how to identify wild cherry, aka black cherry, is by far the tallest cherry tree, getting to be as much as 80 feet. Now these are probably, this one, it grows right up next to this pine tree. It is probably in the 60-foot range, maybe 40, 50. I don't know. I ain't got a tape measure. Just I'm eyeballing. I really can't tell right where it stops. So, it can be identified by its scaly potato chip bark that persists except on the oldest of trunks, which still have rough horizontal lines revealing more reddish bark underneath. The young branches are also reddish. Break a twig, crush a leaf, wait 30 seconds, take a good whiff. You should get a bitter almond smell. So let's test that theory. We're going to break one off. And you can see there's some redness in some of this. Definitely a strong smell to it. Bitter almond smell that is distinctive to this genus. The simple alternate leaves are up to 6 inches long and thin, though not as thin as fire cherry. So you can see these thin looking leaves. And these are some of the smaller ones. Yeah, you could definitely get a distinct smell to this. I was going to find some of the larger leaves and show you. And these are spotted. It's been hot and dry and they're starting to get spots and disease or something on them. So anyway, wild cherry grows from Canada to Florida, west to Kansas to Oklahoma and eastern Texas, and be found a wide variety of habitats. From rich cove forest to oak hickory forest, disturbed areas in mid-spring when the trees are blooming, the bottle bush flower clusters can be spotted along the interstate roadsides and in the woods. And I'm going to show you this picture because I can't. You see, that is what the flowering looks like on this. So let's get right to the medicinal properties. I'll get some more shots up in close up of the bark, different things on how you can identify it. One of the ways I double check everything is I look at pictures on Google. I'll type in the name and look at images and compare them to what I'm looking at. I also picture this, labeled this one right off the bat. So the reason I wanted to do this plant is it has a lot of uses that we struggle with, and most people think of cough and they go right to mullein. This may be something else you need. Wild cherry is one of the best remedies to stop excessive hectic coughing by relaxing the nervous irritability in the lungs. For the same reason it can be used for irritability in the digestive tract, there are several different types of remedies for coughs, stimulating expectorants make it easier to cough up phlegm, relaxing expectorants open up the bronchioles and relax resistance to the cough and demulcents. Physically soothe the tissue like a balm to reduce irritation. Wild cherry works differently, not by physically soothing the tissue, but by relaxing the nerves that are sending the signal of irritation to the brain so that the brain doesn't react to an irritant by trying to cough it out. It's really working as a nerve sedative, like a milder version of peach, which is in the same genus, talking about peach tree, which is the same genus. It works very well at the same time. This is why cough drops were traditionally made from wild cherry and are still cherry flavored, though who knows if there's actually any cherry left anymore. True. If wild cherry isn't strong enough to stop a cough and help someone get sleep, then there's stronger remedies such as black cohosh or skunk cabbage. That could also work, but it is worth starting with a gentle remedy like wild cherry first. Just as it works on the lungs, it works to help allay inflammation and in the digestive tract that cause irritability and possibly even diarrhea while simultaneously stimulating digestion and appetite. It also has some action to help calm the heat that can be used for palpitations and rapid excited pulse. Caution. Now keep this in mind. I read this. Do not use during pregnancy. The bark contains a cyanide-like compounds, and since some amount of these compounds remain in the medicine, it is best not to use this long term. Herbal preparations. Heat can destroy the wild cherry's medicinal compounds, so don't boil it. It is best taken as a cold infusion or perhaps as a hot infusion, which is not boiling it but letting it seep in hot water. It can be tinctured fresh, 1/2 at 95% alcohol or 1.5 at 60% alcohol and 10% glycerin. It also makes a great cough syrup made by taking a strong cold infusion and adding half as much honey as there is tea. Adding some brandy will help keep it shelf stable, but it isn't necessary if you plan to use this syrup within a month or two. So y'all, again, that was Southeast Medicinal Plants book. This is an excellent book. I've got several plants to go over here in the near future. So what I intend to do is I brought a jar out here with me. I'm going to harvest enough of this right now to make a tincture with. I'm not going to make a lot of a tincture. I'm not going to be using no heap of this on a regular basis. So there's no need for making a large jar full of it. So let me adjust the camera. We're going to go over here, and since I've got a lot of these, one of these low-hanging branches, I'm probably going to strip all the bark off. It will probably kill that branch, but it's not going to kill the tree. It's just like pruning a branch off. So we'll get us enough bark to make our tincture. Well, y'all, it sounds like old Roscoe over there needing a dose of this. You all right? It's over there just a hacking. All right. So I'm showing y'all out some of these branches. A lot of them are very low. You can see, and they go parallel out, almost out to the ground. So I have plenty of limbs that I can dispose of. Get in here, these wild muscadines, wild grapes, such as that stuff, all in here. Trying to cut some of this junk out of the way. Let me get John out. Let me lay my jar down. All this other junk out of the way. And y'all, the wind's blowing. It wouldn't blow until I come out here and started filming a video. Y'all can't believe that, can you? I should have pruned and cleaned out all this before I got in here to make a video. But this is real life we film here, not made up stuff. we don't be making up and staging stuff. We really be living, you know. A lot of folks don't get that. I'm gonna take get my jar. What I got is a Mount Olive pickle jar. Show you kind of how I'm doing this. Do it sort of like a draw knife, and I just kind of lay that down there and strip this like that. And then I just take it and pack it in my jar. So we're gonna probably entirely strip this. But that is why a good strong knife, a good sharp knife is important. I don't be toting dull knives, y'all. Because if you're gonna actually use it to do stuff, you need it to do what you need it to do. You don't need to be fighting with it and struggling. So I'm just using it like a draw knife. Well, I am dropping more than I'm getting, looks like. Y'all, I don't know if I actually mentioned it or not, but the bark is the part you want to use. I was going to show you this. There's some areas on this tree that's hard to lay down, and if you don't have a knife that's sharp enough to do this, you can take your blade straight up and you can scrape and get it off like this as well. It's still useful. I mean, I just thought I'd mention that because somebody will get the idea that there's only one way to cut it off. I like doing it like this, but like a lot of these limbs, you've got humps and knots and stuff like that, and it may be easier for you, especially if your knife happens to be dull, which everybody's knife gets dull occasionally. I don't like to let mine get there, but it happens. Especially if you've been out in the field all day using it. And you know, you're doing a bunch of harvesting, which I keep a knife sharpener on mine. But this underside, I'm struggling to do. So it's coming off in part. But I just wanted to mention that, and I've got quite a bit in my jar. I don't know how much. I'm not just going to pack it. I'm going to get a little bit more. definitely a cherry smell. I mean, it smells like a bag of cherries in there. So they talking about an almond scent. I just thought I would mention that it ain't just an almond scent to it. It smells like cherries in there. Or it do to me. I mean, everybody's smeller might be different. And y'all, in my medicinal plant videos, I am just showing you information that's in this book. I ain't a doctor telling you how to doctor nothing. I'm just sharing you what this book said you could do and demonstrating how to do it. So I think that's probably the safest way to do this. The Native Americans would have made a tea out of it, so you can use this plant year round. It's a plant that you could come out here in the winter whenever you get sick, scrape this bark off. If you got one of them, what we call a hacking cough, you know, old dry cough, you could come out here and what I would do then is I would boil me some water if I was going to just use it fresh like that, and then cut the pot off, and when it quit boiling and was still sitting there smoking, then I would dump my bark into it and let it sit there and steep. You can do a cold infusion, and the way I would do that, and we may get enough to demonstrate that as well, to where I would just set it in a jar, put the lid on it full of water, and set it out on a stump in the sun and let it do its thing. I'm probably going to take my hatchet or something here in a little bit and cut this whole limb off where I can get in here off the ground. And this underside is easier to scrape this bark loose than it is to cut it like I was doing. On the top side where I can get to it, I'm better off cutting it. So I'm probably fixing to quit right here with this. I got enough in there to do what I need to do. So y'all, these some plants everybody has done covered and done a video on the same plants over. I'm trying to dig into some of these that ain't been done to death. I like to do new plants, different plants. So I got enough to do what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go up here and make a tincture. So right here, y'all, I've been drinking some passion flower tea. I am here before long gonna remake my plantain salve. I'm running low. I need to make, and I have some oil. This is plantain salve oil that I did not add the beeswax and all in, so I can add that to it possibly. But we're gonna make a new. I'm waiting on my plantain to grow a little bit. It's been hot and dry, not doing as well. So right here we've got our jar of bark. So talking about the plantain, if y'all want me to film making that again, I know I got one video out doing it. If you want me to film it again, let me know in the comments. And we're gonna make elderberry syrup. I'm waiting on getting my goldenrod honey. I could get regular honey right now, but I'm waiting for the goldenrod while it's in bloom now. I got a friend of mine that does bees. He's gonna get me some honey made with goldenrod. So I got my alcohol here. And we're just gonna cover it. That's good. You don't have to fill it slam full. You can fill it slam full. Don't overthink this stuff, y'all. There's way too many people out there bad overthinking medicinal plants. The big question is, can you use fresh plant? Well, I thought it needed to be dried. It don't matter. Dried plant may be a wee bit stronger for the simple fact that there's a little bit less water diluting your medicine. But if you squeezed all of the water that's in what plant material you could fit in this jar, you couldn't wet your tongue with it. So you're not losing a whole lot. You can use fresh plant, you can use dry plant. Why do you dry plants then? Because that's the best way to preserve it, so that over in the winter, if I need to make a medicine, I've got some dry plant material that I can make that medicine with. It's just easier to store a dried plant in a plastic bag or in a plastic container or glass jar or anything away from the light. You want to keep light away from it because it'll bleach it out. And then that way you can make medicine later. So it's about preserving it. Alcohol is good for extracting your medicinal qualities out of there. But it is also a preservative of sorts too. And I'm going to peel these labels. I don't know how well that's going to work. That ain't going to work for me. I hate these labels on the jar, but I need to. But I just wanted you to see how that is already turning a dark color, the liquid is. So we'll let this go for 30 days. Y'all, making a tincture is just that simple. In 30 days, we'll strain this off like you seen me do my other tincture. And then we will put it in bottles like this. It has a dropper. And I have noticed with this dropper that it will only suck that up to about half full. Now this is my anti-anxiety tincture. My wife does not like it. And she's out here pointing at me right now. One of the ducks has showed back up in the yard. So I'm going to put this up out of the light. And thank y'all for watching Spirit of the Outdoors. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.